Welcome, viewers, to Bodhi Unified Flow. Here we simplify complexity and amplify performance. Today, we're jumping straight into topic 4, budgeting frameworks. Specifically, we'll be looking at strategies like zero-based budgeting and reverse budgeting to really control those expenses. Whether you're working with a super predictable salary or riding the waves of a variable income, the architectural tools we're going to unpack today, well, they're basically going to fundamentally change how you manage, protect, and actually grow your wealth. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so here's our agenda for this masterclass. 1. The wealth paradigm shift. 2. Zero-based budgeting. 3. The reverse budgeting strategy. 4. The 50-30-20 rule and sinking funds. And finally, number 5, a strategic comparison to help you synthesize all these systems together. By the end of this explainer, you're going to walk away with a very specific set of tools. We're going to identify the glaring flaws in traditional budgeting equations, master the step-by-step implementation of zero-based budgeting, and deeply understand the behavioral psychology that drives reverse budgeting. We'll also cover how to apply the 50-30-20 rule and sinking funds to completely neutralize those awful, unexpected spending shocks. Basically, you're going to be able to match the exact financial system to your unique personality type.
All right, Section 1, the wealth paradigm shift. We really need to start by looking at the flawed, traditional approach most of us were taught growing up, which is income minus expenses equals savings. You know the drill, right? You earn your paycheck, you spend on your lifestyle, and then you just kind of cross your fingers and hope there's a little bit left over at the end of the month. Well, actual wealth builders completely flip this equation on its head. For them, it's income minus savings equals expenses. This totally forces you to lock away funds into your financial safe as the absolutely non-negotiable first step. You secure your future before you ever fund your present lifestyle.
Now, delaying this mindset shift creates a massive, massive penalty. We call this the procrastination tax. Let's put this into perspective with some hard numbers. Imagine two 25-year-old professionals. The first one starts investing just 5,000 rupees monthly, right out of the gate. The second one? Well, they think 5,000 rupees is just too small to matter, so they wait a whole decade and begin investing 15,000 rupees monthly at age 35. Fast forward to age 45. Despite the late starter putting in way more of their own cash, the early starter accumulates nearly 50 lakh rupees. Meanwhile, the late starter only reaches 34 lakh rupees. That is a $1.5 million loss. Literally, that massive gap is the devastating price you pay just for waiting.
Moving right along to Section 2. Zero-based budgeting.
So, zero-based budgeting, or ZBB, requires proactive justification for literally every single expense. The absolute crucial point here is what we call the rigor of the absolute, meaning your income minus your expenses must equal exactly zero. Now, to be crystal clear, this doesn't mean your bank account balance drops to zero. What it means is that every single rupee gets assigned a very specific job, whether that's paying your rent, funding a mutual fund, or buying your morning coffee, and that job is assigned before the money is ever spent. Basically, zero lazy money is left vulnerable to those late-night impulse buys.
Actually, implementing this requires 4 specific chronological phases. First up, you have to quantify your net inflow, meaning calculate your exact monthly take-home pay after taxes. Don't guess, get the exact number. Second, perform a ruthless expense audit. Pull your past bank statements and list out every single anticipated fixed and variable cost. Third, execute a priority rank. You absolutely must secure the 4 walls first: food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. And finally, adjust your allocations until you hit that perfect zero balance. What you're doing here is actively shifting your view of income from just a generic pool of cash to a highly tactical, finite set of tools.
Now, for those of you who just love granular control, the 8-step paycheck ritual is going to be your best friend. It provides a highly structured roadmap for every single payment cycle. You basically follow a strict order. Fund your strategic growth assets first, then knock out your mandatory statutory bills. Move on to immediate subsistence needs for the current cycle, and only then follow it up with short-term lifestyle wants. After that, allocate pro rata savings for cyclical necessities, then your future lifestyle funds, like vacations. Secure your systemic resilience with maintenance funds next, and finally end with dynamic negotiation for final reconciliation. Honestly, checking these off in this exact rigid order dramatically reduces long-term financial anxiety. It's a total game changer.
Okay, Section 3, the reverse budgeting strategy.
If ZZB sounds totally exhausting to you, reverse budgeting is probably your answer. It flips the order of operations by leaning heavily into what behavioral economists call choice architecture. The golden rule here is incredibly simple. Pay yourself first. By treating your savings as your primary, non-negotiable bill, your wealth-building funds are scooped up and invested automatically, way before the rest of your cash ever makes it to the pizza shop or the electronics store. This is brilliant because it completely bypasses present bias, which is just our brain's natural, hardwired tendency to prioritize instant gratification over long-term security. The setup for this is remarkably elegant, honestly. First, you benchmark your spending with a quick 3-month audit to figure out a realistic savings rate. Next, you stratify your goals, for instance, targeting that 1 lakh rupee emergency fund before you start aggressively investing in equities. Then you build the automation engine. You literally just schedule your banking transfers to execute the day after payday. Because you've automated the essential stuff, the residual money left in your checking account acts as this wonderful, unstructured guardrail. You're fenced in safely. That means you can spend whatever remains entirely guilt-free. It inherently prevents lifestyle creep while giving you total stress-free autonomy.
All right, Section 4, the 50-30-20 rule and sinking funds. So if you're looking for a sweet spot, a middle ground between the absolute control of ZBB and the automated freedom of reverse budgeting, the adapted 50-30-20 rule is a highly practical roadmap. Here's how it breaks down. You allocate exactly 50% to your non-negotiable needs, things like housing, groceries, and utility EMIs. Then 30% goes to your lifestyle wants, travel, dining out, a bit of shopping. And finally, a strict 20% goes straight into the vault for savings and debt repayment. It's a fantastic way to ensure your capital is continuously building your safety net while still letting you comfortably enjoy your life right now. But wait, how do you protect that precious 20% savings bucket from totally predictable spending shocks? Things like an annual life insurance premium or a massive set of new car tires. You use proactive sinking funds. The math is super straightforward. You take the total estimated cost of that upcoming expense and simply divide it by the number of months until the payment is due. So, for example, if you have a 12,000 rupee premium due in 12 months, you automate exactly 1,000 rupees into a dedicated sinking fund account every single month. It completely eliminates the panic and the scramble when those known irregular expenses finally hit. No more surprises. Section 5, strategic comparison and synthesis.
To really synthesize everything we've talked about, let's compare these frameworks and figure out where you fit. Think about your own personality. The planner profile absolutely thrives on the surgical precision of zero-based budgeting. Yes, it requires high operational effort and exhaustive tracking of every category, but let me tell you, it is absolutely unparalleled if you need to aggressively pay down debt. On the flip side, we have the budget rebel or the autonomy seeker. If that's you, you'll benefit immensely from the reverse budgeting default. Low operational effort, relying on the cloud for automation, and it only asks you to categorize your money into 2 incredibly simple buckets: save or spend. Regardless of whichever system you ultimately choose, you have to safeguard it against mental blocks. One big one is shame-based avoidance. Ignoring your bank statements doesn't make the math go away, it only increases your anxiety and racks up late fees. Also, beware the dopamine rush trap. Our modern economy is literally built to manufacture dissatisfaction via hyper-targeted ads to steal your wealth. To fight back, automate the essentials so you aren't relying on sheer willpower month after month. And finally, reframe your mindset. Stop calling it a budget. That word just feels like a restrictive trap. Call it a spending blueprint or a wealth plan, because honestly, that's what it is. It's a plan that gives you permission to spend on what truly matters to you. Let's quickly summarize what we've covered. We have successfully hit today's learning objectives. You now possess the strategic blueprints to finally transition from passive tracking to intentional resource allocation. We've seen how ZBB provides absolute control, how reverse budgeting completely automates the heavy lifting, and how sinking funds act as an impenetrable protective umbrella against predictable financial storms. The key cognitive shift here is to honestly assess your own executive function capacity, pick the framework that matches it, and rigorously execute it. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pivotal question to think about. Are you going to remain a passive observer of your own cash flow, just wondering where it all went at the end of the month? Or are you going to decide to actively design your financial architecture today? The choice is entirely yours. Choose your framework, implement it this week, and start navigating the unpredictability of the global economy with absolute, unshakable confidence. And finally, here are the specific references and research cited in today's Bodhi Unified Flow session. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we absolutely look forward to seeing you amplify your performance in our next explainer.